Okay, now let's do vocals, the part probably some of you have been waiting for. The vocals in this mix are pretty comprehensive and they need to be taken seriously, like any mix, because they are the most important thing. And getting them right is part of getting everything right. So there's a lot of vocals in this mix. There's verse vocals, verse gang vocals, harmonies, pre-chorus harmonies, everything. Kevin is super vocal centric, and that makes sense because they're just a super important part of any mix. So I've also got a number of delays. As I mentioned a couple times now, I don't have a VCA for vocals. I have a background verb, a background vox delay, and then a vox verb, and then a vocal space verb as well. And there's a lot happening on the individual channels too. So we might as well start with the verse vocals. So let's have a listen just in solo to them, and we're going to keep all of our send and returns on here.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart, and I won't let you fall to the dark.
So let me now turn off. I'm not sure what's going to what here, but I'm just going to turn everything off so you can hear what was sent over.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart, and I won't let you fall to the dark.
So Kevin has a great voice, and that means we don't have to do too much, but we do have to do something.
Well, something inside you.
Okay, let's start with the first plugin here. So this is Nectar. Nectar is a suite of mixing tools that I've come to love and know how to use pretty well. We've got the first thing here, pitch is off. It just kind of shows up. If it were on, we'd have that on, but it's off. We have a compressor, vintage compressor. Attack is, more or less 4-to-1. Super quick attack. Release is slow. And we have a makeup gain going on here. We're responding to peak level. And this is all the way up. Mix is all the way up. And then we have another compressor, which is pretty slammed. Threshold's all the way down. Threshold is down here, but it's really slammed here. But I'm doing some parallel mixing because I've only got the mix up a little bit here. So I'm kind of blending the signal in. And then I have an EQ, which is cutting at about 1K, boosting a little bit after that. We're doing a very subtle high pass. We don't need to do very much. And then we have a dynamic node that is going on here. And then we have a little bit of reverb. Actually, I think I might have had this off, actually. So we don't have reverb. My bad. That's off. So let's listen to what... there's actually a couple other things going on with Nectar that I want to call your attention to. The first is we have auto level mode, which is going to keep this vocal at around -8 RMS. And this means less work for us to go in and automate things afterwards. I still did do some automation, which you'll see, but it just helps to hug the level and keep it consistent. I've also got a limiter here. This just protects from any overages if they occur. Let's do a before and after, with and without, just Nectar. I'm going to turn everything else off too. I'll shut these guys off, these time-based effects as well.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart, and I won't let you.
So here's after.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart, and I won't let you fall to the dark.
So we have a lot more control. We are pushing the level up, but we have control, which we didn't have before. It was a little dynamic.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart.
It's breaking. So so we need to control that. And that's what these two compressors are doing.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart,
And that's what you want to do with vocals. You want to control them. I used to be a little kind of snobby about how dynamic they should be, and I was a lot more open to super dynamic vocals. And now I really see the benefit of controlling them up front as much as possible, and then bringing back a little bit of life through automation and things like that, because it's just gotten me better results overall. And we have this.
Well, something inside you.
This is actually important. I'm using this EQ follow mode, and that's because I sensed a lot of, I'm not sure if the right word is nasality, but just a lot of strident frequencies here in Kevin's voice in this region. So I was able to pull out this dynamic node, and it's going to go around and scrub and just make sure that we're not getting any overages that are really sour in that region.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart.
And you can see them here kind of poking out. So if I were to turn this off, have a listen.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart.
And then after.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart.
Just much smoother for me. So that's the first kind of chain we have on the vocal. The next thing we have is, surprise, surprise, Soothe. And this is just, again, another coat of paint to dynamically suppress some of the resonance that I was hearing in the vocal. Here's before.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart.
After.
And I won't let you fall to the dark.
So nice and smooth. I love it. The next thing we have here is this new plugin that I haven't really talked about much on the channel. It's by Overloud, and it emulates this. I'm going to get it wrong, so I'll just say what it does for me. It's able to bring up the vocal, its kind of brightness and its clarity without amplifying a lot of the things that I've tried my best with Soothe and Nectar to keep at bay. It just gives a kind of brightness to it. There is going to be a level jump. But we do want to make the level louder of the vocal, and if we need to do it here with Overloud's, I think they call this gem, dopamine, that's fine by me. So listen to what it's doing. There's going to be a level jump, but it's going to be a little brighter than it was before in a pleasing way, I think. So before.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart.
And here it is.
And I won't let you fall to the dark.
Before.
The prison that kept you surrounded a star.
I love the way it sounds. It sounds great. So I have it. It's right there. Let's go to the next one, which is just a trim plugin, and it is going to be down at 6.5 decibels. Just want to lower the vocal, and that's it. Let's hear that chain again before and after. I'll take everything off.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart.
And here it is in the mix with everything off.
Well, something inside you breaking apart.
And now let's bring everything in. So here's after.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart.
Of course, we don't have our sends in, so let's bring those in.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart. And I won't let you to the dark.
So we have our Vox delay and Vox verb here and here. And let's go over to what we have first on our delay. Echoboy Jr. Those in the know have known about this plugin for a while. I used to use Echoboy, but now something happened. I got to restart my plugins or reset them. It just doesn't, it comes up all screwy, the menu and everything. So I've gone to Echoboy Jr. because it looks great and works for me. And here's with it off.
Something inside you.
Here's with it on.
Something inside you
let's take the everything else off as we bypass this. So here's before.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart.
Here's after.
And I won't let you fall to the dark.
It's super subtle, but it just gives the vocal a bit of width, which I really like. Sometimes I get that width from reverb. Sometimes I get it from delay. More often than not, I'll have a delay kicking around somewhere in the track. And let's go to the verb. What do we have for the verb? So the verb is neo-verb, and we're using a combination of plate and hall, 100% wet, and we have a little bit of masking going on between the dry and wet, and there's a dip here to suppress that automatically, and this applies a little bit of a curve to the dry input signal as well. Let's do a before and after with that guy, because reverbs can get kind of muddy if you don't control them. So here's before.
Well, something inside you is breaking apart.
After.
And I won't let you fall to the dark.
Beautiful. That's it, man.
Well, something inside you.
Okay. Let's go to the harmonies. So I've got these two verse harmonies that show up.
Fall to the dark.
And hard right, hard left, no surprises. And all I'm doing is, I don't know why, I use this EQ, Pro Tools, really easy, big high pass, nice touch at the top end. I could use anything, I just happen to use this. And of course we have our trim plugins here. And I have a background, BG stands for background verb, leaving a lot of these doubles and stuff going to, I think it's another neo verb. Same combination of plate and hall. Let's take everything off. We'll leave the trim plugin on.
Fall to the dark.
I do this a lot. I'll high pass the harmonies and then send them to a reverb.
Fall to the dark.
I mean, that's it. That's all you got to do. That's all I did. And of course, our trim plugin at the very end to just control the level, brought it down by 8 decibels. That's a lot, right? So let's go to the next set. Let's just do these kind of in clusters.
I came to see you.
Didn't even do anything EQ-wise to these guys. These are all trim plugins. -7, -7, -7, and -7. So we're just bringing stuff down. We are sending it to the BG verb from NeoVerb. And in some ways, we don't have to do too much EQ work because this pre-EQ is going into the input signal and just suppressing, resonance that might be going into the reverb tail, and we don't want that. So that's all I did there. And of course, some extreme panning. Hard left on the first one, hard right on the second, hard left and hard right for the next two as well. Let's keep it moving.
It's hard, I know, but you're breaking all your own rules.
So in this case, we have the chorus vocal, okay, right here. I don't want to do any hard panning to that. That's right in the middle.
It's hard, I know.
It's going to the verb and the delay, just like the main vocal is on the verse, and it's got ozone. Hey, look at that. I'm using the vintage compressor, which I really like on vocals. And right after that is the gem. So let me just back those off. So before.
It's hard, I know, but you're breaking.
And after.
It's hard, I know, but you're breaking. It's hard, I know, but you're breaking. Oh, you're wrong. You tried, but you made.
Okay. So let's keep moving. Some more hard panning going on here. Left, right, left. What do we have?
It's hard, I know.
So again, I did the same thing, right? Where we have high-passed background vocals. Wasn't doing anything on the top end. Some were getting high-passed more than others. This is a high chorus. I high-passed it more than the other guys. These ones are a little lower.
It's hard, I know, but you're breaking.
If we take them off, let's have a listen there.
It's hard, I know, but you're breaking.
So these harmonies, they're kind of competing with the chorus vocal, and I don't want them to for low end. I also don't want these guys taking up any more low end for the kick and for everything else, so they're all getting some high passing.
It's hard, I know, but you're breaking. Oh, you're
And again, some more aggressive panning, and now we have, the final chorus vocal here, I believe.
You try, but you're making all the wrong moves. You're making.
So they're going to the same delays and reverbs I talked about earlier, but we have another ozone advanced, which I like. I guess I like the sound of this compressor. Another gem dopamine, and then a trim plug-in. So nothing new there per se. And then we're kind of saying the same thing over and over. Looks like I didn't use too much stuff here on these chorus harmonies. Yeah, just trim plugins.
You try, but you're making all the wrong moves.
Pretty simple. They're going to the background neoverb up here.
You try, but you're making all the wrong moves.
And then, things stay pretty much the same. Over here, what do we have? We have some guitars that are categorized as, I knew I forgot to do this. These should be green, but they're not. These are some guitars that I just forgot to put back in the guitar section. So what I want to do now is just go over some of the automation that I have happening in the vocals. So you'll notice here that at the very end, there's just some words and things, if I go to this guy, that were poking out and kind of problematic for me. And if I hit E, yeah, so. So at the end of words, right, but you're making. So I boosted it up on making, and same thing here once we leave the end of a word. You could make the case that I need to bring that up a little bit more when he says moves, all the wrong moves. But I felt like there's a couple different harmonies, so we're probably okay. But it could be that we hear from the client, and the client's like, I can't really hear what I'm saying or singing at the end there. But I went back and actually had my girlfriend listen, my fiance, gotta get used to that, listen to this, and one of her main critiques was I can't hear all the words. So I went in and just did a little bit of automation here and there, and the same thing here, where this is the main verse vocal, same thing. It's a bit more pronounced in the intro section here, especially at this section.
The waste of a warm tear, tasting the brine, and all of the good.
So just go in and listen for what still isn't kind of coming through, and if you can't hear what's not coming through, because you're really close to the material, bring somebody else in and see what they say. Can you hear every word? Can you understand every word? And that should help you too. I mean, I've also got a little bit of, this isn't so much delicate automation here, but just to bring the overall level up, some trim automation on this harmony.
Killing the time, the waste of a warm tear, tasting the
this is where it's really important. I think I already went over this, but this is like one of the last lines of the song, right?
You try, but you make
Yeah, so this is where we have the guitars, everything kind of doing the final push. And here I wanted to really make sure that the last couple of words could be understood. So there's some trim automation there. So that about does it for vocals. What I think I'm going to leave it for the next video to talk about making decisions as a mixer with arrangement, and also cover what's on the master bus, because there's a lot of processing happening there that is affecting the overall sound. And there's also some things that I'm doing to kind of simulate what a real mastered version could sound like, so that when the client gets it, it's nice and loud and competitive, and they're just focused on what things sound like and not how loud things are, or I think this is a little quiet, or whatever, like the overall kind of track. So let's meet in the next video about the master bus and arrangement.